cold open. Dale Prewitt was 34 years old and had never finished anything in his life. Not community college, not his marriage, not the shed he'd been about to fix for 6 years. He worked the night shift at a grain elevator in Nebraska, mostly to avoid people asking him what his plans were. So when a recruiter, in a suit that didn't quite fit human proportions, slid into the booth across from him at a Denny's and asked if he wanted a job involving space travel, hazard pay, and minimal paperwork, Dale didn't ask what the job was. He asked if the hazard pay was taxed. Technically, no, the recruiter said. Your government doesn't know this program exists. Dale shrugged, finished his hash browns, and signed a form written in a language he couldn't read. Sure, he said. Beats the elevator. Warning scene. The recruiter, designation Thren, a liaison for something called the Coalition Deployment Office, sat Dale down one more time before departure, sliding a tablet across the table with a mortality projection graph on it. The line went down fast. Mr. Prewitt, I need you to understand. The survival rate of this specific assignment class is 19%. Historically, across all species we have tested. 19's better than 0, Dale said, chewing gum. Most candidates ask what the assignment class is. Would it change my answer? Thren considered this. No. Then I'll find out when I get there. Thren stared at him the way you'd stare at a man calmly, walking into traffic to retrieve a dropped sandwich. She closed the tablet. Very well. Don't blame me if you come back in a box. Dale stood, stretched, and picked up his duffel bag. Wouldn't be the first time I disappointed somebody. Squad introduction. The transport hangar smelled like ozone and something Dale could only describe as wet metal. His new squad was already assembled, and even standing still they made the room feel smaller. First was Dekarganvis, 7 feet of corded gray muscle from a heavy gravity world, with a second pair of forearms folding out from beneath his ribs like a Swiss Army knife. He'd single-handedly held a collapsing mining tunnel, open for 11 minutes, while 40 miners evacuated, an act that had earned him the Coalition's Iron Ledger Commendation, a medal given exactly 6 times in 300 years. Next, Mliska Thesunger, a slight, insectile woman with faceted violet eyes and 4 thin arms that moved independently, each finger tipped with a retractable blade. She'd been the lead breach specialist on the Vantrell Station hostage crisis, clearing 19 rooms alone in under 4 minutes without a single civilian casualty. Her file listed her kill count in a section, labeled simply classified extensive. Third was Ozomo, a being who Dale genuinely could not tell was solid or liquid, shifting texture like sand under wind, currently holding the rough shape of a squat armored toad. Ozomo had survived total vacuum exposure twice unshielded, and was the only known xenobiologist to successfully autopsy a live Grelith parasite without dying, losing a limb, or requiring psychological reconditioning per the file. Last was your Threx Elin Van, tall, feathered, silver-eyed, a decorated tactical commander, who had planned the extraction of an entire diplomatic convoy from a war zone using nothing but a hand-drawn map and 11 minutes of prep time. Then there was Dale. No medals, no commendations, no classified kill count. His file simply read, Prewitt Dale. Occupation, grain elevator technician. Notable skills, forklift certified. Recommended role, unclear. Cargan looked him up and down. This is the 4th? I'm told I'm the 4th, Dale agreed. He looks soft, Eliska said, not unkindly. The way you'd note a fact about weather. I bruise easy, Dale said. Runs in the family. Threxilin's feathers flattened slightly, a gesture Dale would later learn meant deep concern. Command assigned an untrained primitive to a Class 9. Hazard deployment? Command assigned somebody who said yes, Dale said. That's usually how it works where I'm from, too. Nobody had a response to that. They loaded the ship. Comedy escalation loop. Round 1, the atmosphere. The planet's atmosphere, Threx Elin briefed, carries an aerosolized spore compound that causes fatal internal crystallization within 4 hours of unprotected exposure. Dale nodded slowly. So pollen. It liquefies your lungs from the inside. Yeah, Dale said. Severe pollen. My Uncle Gary gets that every April, just louder about it. Eliska's 4 hands went still. This is not comparable. You've never met Uncle Gary. Round 2, the gravity. Surface gravity fluctuates unpredictably between 1.2 and 4 times. Coalition standard, Cargun rumbled. Our exosuits require constant recalibration, or the wearer's skeleton will fracture under sudden compression. So it's like walking on a waterbed, Dale said. But the waterbed's mad at you. Cargun's forearms crossed, then uncrossed, as if recalculating. The comparison implies furniture is involved. Trust me, it's the same principle. You just gotta bend your knees. Bend your knees, Cargun repeated very slowly, like a man being told the secret to interstellar travel was a nap. Round 3, the wildlife. Indigenous apex predators hunt in coordinated packs of 30 or more, Ozomo said, shifting shape uneasily. They emit a subsonic frequency that ruptures inner ear tissue in most species before the pack even arrives. A coyotes, Dale said immediately. Except the eardrum thing's new. That's an upgrade. You have experience with pack hunters that vocalize as a weapon? I have experience with coyotes getting into the trash at 3 a.m. and my ex-wife's dog losing its entire mind about it. Same energy. Threxelun made a note on his tablet. Dale caught a glimpse of it. Subject shows no fear response. Investigate. Round 4, the terrain. The ground itself is unstable, Threxelun said. Vast fields of what our scans classify as living sediment. It shifts, swallows equipment, and reforms. We've lost 3 full survey teams to sinkholes that simply closed over them. Dale sipped his ration water. Quicksand. It is sapient adjacent. It hunts. Still quicksand. Just motivated, he shrugged. We had a bog behind our property. Lost a riding mower in it. Took the mower 2 years to resurface. Came back different. Eliska blinked all 4 of her eyes in sequence. Different how? Wouldn't start right anymore. None of us blamed it. Round 5, the temperature. Thermal cycles swing 300 degrees between dawn and midday, Cargun said, checking a display. Our suit's cooling systems are already projected to fail by day 6. Nebraska in July to Nebraska in January, Dale said. Same week some years. You just dress in layers and complain a lot. Complaining's actually load-bearing temperature-wise. Keeps morale up. Complaining, Ozomo repeated. Texture rippling with what might have been the alien equivalent of a headache is not a survival protocol. Tell that to every Midwesterner who's ever shoveled a driveway at 6 a.m. Round 6 of the final escalation. Threxelun set down the tablet entirely. Mr. Prewitt, the planet is called Caldranoth. Every recorded expedition, coalition, independent, or automated, has suffered greater than 70% casualties. It is, by every metric we possess, one of the single most hostile environments in the known galaxy. Dale looked out the viewport at the churning brown-green surface rushing up to meet them. So basically, he said, a real bad Tuesday. Nobody laughed. Nobody could tell if he was joking. That more than anything unsettled them. Arrival and world reveal. The ship's ramp lowered into a world that looked like it was actively trying to digest itself. The sky churned a bruised yellow-green, streaked with spore clouds that drifted low and slow, like fog with intentions. The ground rippled, not wind, not water, but the sediment itself, breathing in slow tidal pulses. Distant thunder rolled. That wasn't thunder at all. It was the subsonic call of something large coordinating. Patient. Cargun's exosuit display flared. Red the instant the ramp hit. Ground. Gravity. Spiking to 3.6x standard, servos screaming as they fought to keep his joints from buckling. Eliska's forearms trembled, her breach specialist reflexes. Useless against a world that didn't hold still long enough to be breached. Ozomo's shifting form kept losing cohesion at the edges, spore particulates eating into whatever held their body together. Threxelun's feathers were already matted flat against his skull, suit alarms chirping a rising, panicked rhythm. Dale stepped off the ramp in a t-shirt, a borrowed pair of coalition-issue boots, and a mesh baseball cap he'd brought from home because the sun's the sun. Doesn't matter whose sky it is. He looked around. He sniffed the air, through the thin breathing filter Thren had insisted on, mostly for show, and made a face like a man smelling a compost heap that had gone slightly too far. Huh, he said. Smells like the county fair after it rains on the cattle tent. Threxelun's voice crackled through the comms, strained. Prewitt, report your suit status immediately. Suit's fine. It's a little warm. Your vitals show no elevation. No stress response. No. Threxelun stopped himself. staring through his fogging visor at the man standing casually on a planet that was, by every metric they owned, actively trying to kill them all. "You are not struggling." Dale shrugged, adjusting his cap against the wind. "Struggling with what?" Behind him, Cargun's suit finally stabilized with a shudder. Gravity settling at a punishing "Relax, Iliska," forced her arms still through. Sheer discipline. Ozomo pulled their shape back together, tighter, more careful. Nobody said anything else. But 4 sets of eyes, compound, feathered, molten, obsidian, all turned, just slightly, toward the man in the baseball cap, filing away a fact none of them had a category for yet. Episodic danger montage. Day 1, the spore storm. The first spore storm rolled in at dusk. A wall of yellow haze thick enough to swallow the camp lights whole. Full hazard protocol, sealed suits, triple filtered rebreathers, decontamination tents staked down against the wind. Cargun and Iliska worked in practice sync, bolting the shelter frame while Ozomo layered a chemical ward around the perimeter, their form flickering with the effort. Dale, meanwhile, had strung a poncho between 2 equipment crates, tucked a bandana over his nose and mouth, and was roasting a ration bar over a small contained flame like he was at a Boy Scout jamboree. "Prewitt, your rebreather seal is compromised," Threxelun barked, reading a diagnostic. "You will inhale spore particulate." "Some, probably," Dale agreed. "It's basically a dust storm, though. We get 'em back home on combine harvesters. Kick up so much chaff you can't see your own hand. You just breathe through fabric and wait it out. My grandpa did it for 60 years. Died at 91 of being 91. This is not chaff, this is—" "I know what you said it was. I'm saying it acts the same. Wait it out, don't panic. Don't run around flapping your arms, stirring it up more." By morning, the storm had passed. Dale's bandana was crusted yellow. He shook it out and put it back in his pocket. Nobody on the team had slept. Dale had. Day 3, the living sediment. Iliska went down to her waist in sediment while scouting a supply cache, the ground closing over her like a mouth. Full extraction protocol kicked in immediately, Cargun anchoring a tether line, Threxelun calculating counterpressure vectors, Ozomo dissolving part of their own form into a rope-like tendril to try to reach her before the ground fully sealed. Dale walked over, grabbed a long equipment pole, and told her to quit thrashing. "You're feeding it."
"Feeding it?"
"It's quicksand with opinions. You fight it, it pulls tighter. Same as regular sand, just meaner. Go still, spread your weight, let us pull sideways, not up." She went still, more out of confusion than obedience. Dale and Cargun pulled sideways along the surface rather than straight up. She came free in under a minute, coated in wet sediment, staring at Dale like he'd rewritten a law of physics. "How did you know that would work?" "Didn't. Figured the ground doesn't care what galaxy it's in. Sand. Threx Island's field log. Day 3. Subject Prewitt has now prevented 2 crew injuries using logic that should not apply to xenobiological terrain. Recommend further observation. Also recommend not telling command how, as I do not currently have an explanation that will not sound insane. Day 7. The pack. The subsonic hum started at dusk. The coordinated hunting call of Caldronoths, apex predators, 30 strong closing in, full combat protocol. Iliska on point with her blade arms extended, Cargun bracing a defensive line, Ozomo generating a low-frequency counterpulse to scramble the pack's coordination. Threxelun directing fire lanes with clipped urgent commands. Dale stood at the edge of camp banging 2 metal ration tins together like a man shooing raccoons off a porch, yelling in a flat, unbothered tone. "Hia! Get!"
"Go on, get!"
Astonishingly, the pack's lead animals hesitated, then peeled off into the dark. Iliska lowered her blade slowly, staring. They retreated. "From noise. From you. Predators don't like sounding stupid in front of each other," Dale said, tossing the tins aside. "Confuse the leader, the followers scatter. Works on deer, works on stray dogs, works on my mother-in-law at Thanksgiving. That is not a documented behavioral principle. Didn't need it documented, just needed it to work." DN, the thermal collapse. Midday heat spiked past every projection, suit cooling systems failing one by one across the squad exactly as predicted. Cargun's suit alarm screamed critical. Iliska's forearms trembled from heat stress. Ozomo's form was actively boiling at the edges. Full emergency protocol. Dig into shaded sediment pockets. Ration coolant packs, minimize movement, pray. Dale had already rigged a shade canopy from a torn tarp. and was fanning himself with a flattened ration box. Rotate through the shade in shifts, he said. Sip water, don't gulp it. Don't lie flat on the ground. It's hotter than the air right now, trust me. And somebody wet a cloth and put it on Ozomo's neck equivalent thing. Evaporation will cool you faster than the suit will. They did it, it worked. Nobody understood why a man with no cooling suit at all was the calmest person in the heat. Threx Elun simply wrote in his log, he is not surviving Kaldrinoth. He is unimpressed by it. Status flip. By day 12, nobody double-checked Dale's suggestions anymore. When he said duck, they ducked. When he said it's fine, leave it, they left it. Kargan had started routing hazard questions through him before command channel. Iliska caught herself twice, mimicking his flat, unbothered tone during firefights, and found it steadied her hands. Threx Elun finally said what none of them had voiced aloud. You are not weak, Prewitt. You are simply calibrated to something we don't have instruments for. Dale, chewing on a ration bar, just shrugged. Everything's got weather, he said. You just gotta know your weather. Cliffhanger close. That night, Ozomo's scanners caught something new. A signal pulse rising from beneath the sediment fields. Deep and rhythmic, far too structured to be geological. Threx Elun's feathers flattened hard against his skull as the readout resolved. That is not native to this planet, he said quietly. That is technology buried. And active. The pulse changed rhythm, steadied, like something deep underground had just noticed them standing on top of it. Dale looked down at the ground beneath his boots, chewing slower. Huh, he said. Guess Tuesday's not done with us yet.